So this will be one more video about the legalization of drugs in a way. Not really, because this has less to do with drugs and more what is the root cause of drug problems. The truth is that nobody really has a drug problem until they start ingesting drugs. What they have is they have a self-image problem and they have a self-control problem, which led to a drug problem. The one gentleman that commented on my video believes that methamphetamine and heroin distort people, or at least that's what I gathered from the comments, that they're just these ultimate poisons to society. Remember in my first video about this how I explained an addiction is an addiction is an addiction, an addict is an addict is an addict. I agree that heroin and methamphetamine addicts look a little bit more frazzled and can be a bit more dangerous. Particularly, this includes crack addicts also. Not powder cocaine addicts, but crack addicts. And unlike Mr. Biden, I can say from working with crack addicts, sorry Mr. Biden, but despite what you say to the Rev, crack cocaine is different. However, addiction is not different. Addiction is addiction is addiction. An addict is an addict is an addict. The root cause is self-image problems and self-esteem problems. One of the ways to fix this problem before it starts, you have to remember, nobody has a drug problem unless they start taking drugs. Okay? So how do you stop people from taking drugs? You promote a healthy sense of self. This is why they go about teaching anti-bullying and psychology and all this crap. They do it in the wrong way in schools. They think that by tattling on bullies and things like this, that's going to cure the bullying problem. You're not going to cure the bullying problem, but what you can do is build self-esteem, self-importance, and and improve the self-image and the resilience of the bullied individual. And it doesn't have to be a bully in school. It could be the system that beats down the individual. Failure upon failure upon failure. There are numerous systems. In fact, there's a whole system of psychology created by a plastic surgeon, a German plastic surgeon by the name of Maxwell Maltz, called self-image psychology that deals with exactly this. It's interesting because I remember when I was 12 years old when I bought the book. It's called Kabbalah for the Layman. And I know everyone's going to go, oh my God, you wrote a book on Kabbalah. Oh my God. And the gentleman that wrote it, I always call him Saul S. Berg. But his name's actually Philip S. Berg, not Saul. Philip. I don't know why Saul always comes out. Whatever. I think it actually might be Philip Saulberg, might be why it comes out like that. That might be it. But I looked the book up for people that are interested. And what he talks about in the book is how everybody is looking for a way to alter their conscious to escape reality, when in reality, the 10 Sephiroth, the planets, the microcosm, the yada 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 that is reality, the Kabbalistic depiction of reality. There are different aspects of reality that are different. They're not really different aspects of reality. They're different aspects of our personality. The Sephiroth are. And I'm not going to go through the Tree of Life because that's one of many ways. And this is the thing. Public school needs to work at building the self-confidence, the self-importance, and the self-image of the individual. But this used to fall on religion. And it doesn't matter which religion, as you will see in the links in the description. It can be shamanism, it can be Hinduism, it can be Islam, it can be Judaism, it can be Christianity. I'll leave links to the 10 Steps to Christ by Ellen G. White. I'll leave links to different parts of the Kabbalah. I'll leave links to shamanism and shamanic practices, yoga nidra. These different things work to help the individual deal with external stressors and internal stressors and work on building a self-image that is resilient. However, we are going about the fact that in health class, there needs to be more time spent on mental health. But they go about it the wrong way. They go about it by saying depression is a thing, anxiety is a thing, bipolar is a thing, and you have that thing, and you are that thing. And you're going to go home and you're going to tell your parents that you're crazy. And that's what is coming out of these health programs that teach about mental illness. It's the wrong way to go about it. What they need to be doing is teaching children the skills to build resilience, whether these skills come from things like self-image psychology or an understanding of the Maslowian hierarchy of needs, or an understanding of any number of things, yoga. These things all help. Another thing that helps is building accomplishments, teaching children. See, the thing is with the way the school system works, schools have become asylums. Let's be honest with this. Schools are asylums. What the problem is, they're not doing anything about a child's mental health until after it's an emergency situation. I know this firsthand, and that's what happened to me. By that point, by the point where the person's psyche is damaged and the individual is damaged and their self-image is damaged and everything is a mess, it's too late. And that's the problem, is there is no intervention by anyone until the individual has already been wrecked by society, wrecked by bullies, wrecked by the school system, wrecked by failures. Okay? So what you need to do is these coping mechanisms need to be taught from kindergarten through 12th grade and onward. Okay? There needs to be health curriculum that teaches coping skills that are healthy. Not just physical education coping skills, but this is an important part of health. The way that they're going about teaching about mental health disorders is to wait for the mental health disorder to arise and then to say, you need to talk to your school nurse or your family doctor or your parent about mental illness and get put on drugs that are going to be a gateway to other substances. Mind you, one of the important problems with drug culture in the United States is the fact that we see the answer to everything as a pharmaceutical. That's a big problem. Mental health, this is the thing. When I worked in mental health, there was a therapist that was in her late 60s. And she was a therapist from the late 1950s. One of the hugest problems in mental health is psychiatric medication, because it took the focus off of competency with therapy and competency with therapeutic models and put it on to take this pill and you'll get better. Well, the fact of the matter is, it went from take this pill to take this pill and 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 this pill, and the individual does not get better. In fact, a lot of times they get worse. They develop physical health syndromes like tardive dyskinesia, dysphagia. They develop increased mental health issues from the medications, and it just is a downward spiral. I think it's important to note, and I'll put it in the description so that people don't jump to conclusions, I am not a mental health expert, nor am I a physical health expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a drug and alcohol counselor, etc. But what I'm saying is, you can't fix drug abuse by continuing to fight it the way that it's being fought, because it's being fought backward. You have to fight it by taking away the need for the person to use the drugs to escape reality. How do you do that? You put the person on good terms with reality. This can be done by teaching people dialectical behavioral therapy skills, mindfulness, looking into self-image psychology, like with the book Psycho-Cybernetics, teaching these things in school to children at their level so that they can understand this, implement it, and become more resilient. One of the stupidest things is how they're fighting bullying. When I was a kid, and unfortunately I got thrown out of public school, but if a bully bullied you, you beat the crap out of him. And I'm not recommending anybody beat the crap out of anybody. That really destroyed my academic career. But the fact of the matter is, it's not helpful because all that they've done is they have adults bullying children that are considered bullies. It's bullies bullying bullies bullying bullies bullying bullies. It's nuts. That's not the answer. The answer is resilience. Teaching children resilience, emotional resilience, and physical resilience. Emotional resilience through these coping mechanisms that should be being taught before mental health issues arise, and physical resilience through physical education. That's what needs to be taught. If the person has a better sense of worth, they are less likely to engage in drug use behavior. Now, as far as legalizing drugs is concerned, people that think if you allow people to purchase drugs, more people will use drugs. The reverse has been proven to be true in Portugal and other places. Less people do drugs when drugs are legalized. Another thing is Argentina, when abortion was illegal in Argentina, the rate of abortion in Argentina, despite the fact that it was illegal, was higher than in the United States. So what you have to do is you have to look at the surface. You can't go, oh my God, it's so wrong for people to do heroin and methamphetamine, therefore we should outlaw this and that'll fix the problem. That's the problem we have with abortion. In countries that are like, oh my God, it's so wrong that people are having abortion, let's outlaw it. That's not the answer. The answer to abortion is to have orphanages and other alternatives to abortion that don't require the woman. You have a consistent welfare system that actually helps women. That's number one. Number two, have the frickin' orphanages, state-run orphanages, like my grandmother grew up in, although the one she grew up in was run by a church. But we should have state-run orphanages, like in Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. Bring that model to America, okay? And then going further, the orphanages, the welfare system, but also you have to have reasonable alternatives that allow women that are not women or girls that are not capable of taking responsibility for a child. You need to give them a chance to give that child to a good home and to not to be shamed by society for doing it. One of the problems with abortion is there's no shame in committing an abortion. Okay? Now that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm not taking sides here. Personally, I'm against abortion, especially as birth control. But in the cases of incest and rape and things of that nature, I think that it's obviously a pretty good answer. And that's a sad truth, but it's still the truth. Now, the problem with like rape, for example, the child did not commit a crime. The child did not rape the woman. But are you going to tell a woman that she has to carry that baby to term? I think that she should have the opportunity to carry it to term and give it away if she wants to a supportive environment. That's the answer to abortion. The answer to abortion is not to outlaw abortion, as can be seen in many places where it is outlawed and the abortion rates are higher than in the United States where it's legal. Okay? So by outlawing something, it's not getting rid of it, it's not making it unavailable, it's making it so bad people profit. So antisocial people profit. You need to look at that. You got to do more than hand-wringing. You have to bring up answers. Now, somebody brought up that I should run for office. It's more difficult to run for office than people think. Years ago, back when I was like 19, I was going to start a political party. And actually, it was funny. It was before I learned about justicialism, but the concepts were very similar to justicialism. It was like a post-racial national socialism I had the idea for, and it would work around, it would be very like progressive, but it would be somewhat national socialistic, but it would be America First. And the name of the party was the Liberty, Justice, and Prosperity Party. And I looked into how to start a political party. Jesus Christ, is that damn near impossible, especially if you're broke. The same thing is true running for office. Now, you can get something signed and all this other happy horse shit, but it's next to impossible. Plus, with my mental health record and my juvenile record, I'd get ripped to shreds in a race. What party would I run under? Well, I'd have to run under one of the major two parties, otherwise nobody would vote for me. And I guess a Republican would be what I would vote for, even though now I'm a registered Democrat thanks to Trump. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is, the whole idea of me running for office, I like my ideas, but the goal that I think is important and that I'm looking into doing is starting a political action committee, not a party. Not a party, a political action committee like the Heritage Foundation. That way you can work at changing the hearts and minds of the two major parties, the everyday Americans that make up the voting public. Okay? The way to alter politics in this country is not with a political party, it's with special interest groups. The answer is not to become a political party. The answer is to become a special interest group, like the gays and the Catholics and the Jews and all these other people are. The answer is for the everyday American to become their own special interest group. That's the answer. It's not to run for office, it's to manipulate the people that do run for office, like the Jews and the Catholics and the gays and the trans people and the furries and all the bronies. And you'd be amazed what I found out on the internet. There's a lot of weird crap going on in this generation, I'll tell you that much. Just watch Hooked on the Look. That'll throw you for a loop. But my point is the real answer is not for people like me to run for office. The real answer is for everyone to say what's on their mind. I probably will look into how to start a political action committee, but I already know, because back in the 90s, well, no, I guess it was the early 2000s. It was the early 2000s when I looked into, I think 2002, when I looked into how to start a political party. I wanted to start the Liberty, Justice, Prosperity Party, which was actually very similar to justicialism, without me knowing anything about justicialism. But it's damned near impossible to do anything, and it's set up that way. So the best way to operate is to be a special interest group, not a political party, not a political candidate, a manipulator. That's how this system is set up now. And that's all for this video.